Hello, welcome to الكرامة News Service, and we start our top stories for today with the current affairs in Libya. Military sources said that the army clashes between Tabo and Azawiya renewed in Kufra, and clashes came among domestic and international condemnation. For its part, the National Commission for Human Rights issued a statement on Friday calling for the need for a ceasefire and reaching an immediate solution and put an end to the violence taking place in the city. Al-Kufra city is witnessing many dead and wounded people, as well as full of shells on houses. Representatives of Tuareg and Tabo tribes announced the signing of a Gadwal initiative between them and stopping of the smear campaigns in the media between the two parties. This came after a meeting of the two delegations of Tabo and Tuareg with a number of members of the European Union in the Belgian city Brussels, after an invitation from the European Institution of Peace to clarify what is happening in the city of Ubari, southern of Libya. And still Libya, the National Commission for Human Rights in Libya expressed its deep concern as there renewed violence and army clashes in the cities of Kufra and Ubari, south of this country. The Commission called in a statement for an immediate end to the violence, renewing its call for all citizens of Al-Kufra and Ubari to exercise restraint and to resort to reason and to be dragged behind the tribal and political conflicts. The committee has called on councils of elders and Shura Council of the Libyan tribes to work on a ceasefire and stopping of violence between the parties. The committee also stressed its support for all local and nation efforts to achieve the peace and reconciliation. The Parliament decided to form a committee to prepare a roadmap for the period after next October, according to the Council members' desire to join them, and that if the political dialogue, which is sponsored by the United Nations, doesn't succeed. Parliament member Aisha Tablagi said the committee was formed from within the Parliament, headed by Parliament member Ibrahim Amisha, and the membership of 33 deputies, in addition to choosing Parliament member Ibtisam al-Abari as a repertoire of the committee. The Libyan constitutional declaration provides for the termination of Parliament mission in October. And about the Britain reaction, British media reports that the British government was considering sending hundreds of soldiers to perform a new military mission in Libya. According to the Times newspaper, plans of sending British soldiers to Libya comes in preparation of possible international military operations aiming at achieving stability as well as fighting the growing terrorist threats of extremist Daesh group. The Times noted that the British mission will be part of American, Italian and Spanish, French and German troops, adding that the military operation will not begin until after the National Unity Government expected to be formed soon in Libya, a request for international assistance from the United Nations. And now to Egypt. Egyptian National Defense Board, headed by Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, decided to extend the participation of Egyptian armed forces in the area of Gaza, the Red Sea and Bab el-Mandeb for 6 months. This came during a meeting at the presence of council body, which includes the Prime Minister, Ministers of Defense, Finance and Foreign Affairs, Interim and Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, and Chairman of the General Intelligence. Moreover, the meeting was attended by commanders of the main departments of armed forces, the military intelligence chief and the head of the Suez Canal Authority, Mohab Mamisha. And now we audience to the Arab arena, and from Yemen. Yemeni Vice President Khalid Bahah arrived in the southern port city in Aden on Saturday, the most senior official from Yemen's exiled government to visit since local fighters drove out the Iranian-backed Houthis rebel. Airport officials said Bahah, who is also Prime Minister, was accompanied by 6 ministers when he flew in from the Saudi capital Riyadh, where the Yemeni government had been based since President Abdurabu Mansour Hadi fled a Houthi advance on Aden in March. Since then, hundreds have been killed in fierce clashes between pro-Hadi fighters, backed up by airstrikes from a Saudi-led Arab alliance, and the Houthis, who have struck an alliance with supporters of former President Ali Abdullah Saleh. Bahah's visit became possible after fighters from the Southern People Resistance drove the Houthis out of Aden 2 weeks ago, a major step back for the group, which has been on the offensive since seizing control of the capital Sana'a last September. According to Al Arabiya television website, Bahah journalists at Aden airport that his trip was part of the liberation of Aden and part of normalization of life in it. The agency said Bahah and the 6 ministers would pursue their duties from Aden and would oversee government relief efforts. And now to Iraq. The presidents of Iraq's Kurdistan region today condemned Turkey's bombardment in Zergal village, which has left a number of civilians dead, and called for all sides to return to the peace process. Turkey has repeatedly attacked Kurdistan Workers' Party (PKK) camps in northern Iraq in the past week in what it said is a response to a series of targeted killings of police officers and soldiers that it has blamed on the Kurdish militant group. Video obtained today show villagers in Zergala carrying the bodies of residents that were killed in an airstrike at Drona. The local said 8 people were killed, including 4 belonging to the same family, and 4 more were wounded. Zergal lies in the Kandil mountain range in northern Iraq. And now from Palestine, dozens of Palestinians clashed with the Zionist occupation troops near the West Bank city of Ramallah after the funeral of Palestinian youth who was shot during clashes in the West Bank on Friday. The Israeli troops used riot dispersal means to stop the clashes. The confrontation was one of three a matter of hours in which Palestinians died from Israeli violence on one of the most tense days in the occupied West Bank and the Gaza Strip in recent months. Earlier on Friday, an 18-month Palestinian boy was killed in a house fire in the West Bank village of Duma near Nablus, thought to have been hit by suspected Jewish assailants. Officials said his parents and a sibling suffered critical injuries and are being treated in Israeli hospitals. In the Gaza Strip, on the same day, Israeli soldiers shot dead a Palestinian teenager near the border fence in the southern part of the coastal territory. Palestinian medical officials said Friday's arson attack drew anger amid widespread condemnation from Palestinian and Israeli leaders who denounced it as an act of terror. The United Nations, United States, European Union and other countries also denounced the attack and called for calm. My audience, that is a wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website www.watanalkarama.tv. Thanks for being with us. My greeting, Rانيا البليدى.